Serving their community is who they are because they love where they live. REMAX 3D Real Estate is proud to bring you Heart of Greenville, a video series dedicated to celebrating all the wonderfully great things about Greenville, Texas. On every episode, Tanisha Denny will share Greenville's story through the stories of people who call Greenville home. This is Heart of Greenville.
Thank you so much for watching Heart of Greenville. I asked R.W. Holleman to come on the show because he's so involved in our community, but not necessarily in a way that you may know about. He helps and gives back to so many people, not only here, but also abroad. I hope you enjoy my conversation with R.W. Hey y'all, I'm Tanisha Denny, your host of Heart of Greenville, and today we're sitting down on the third floor of the Landmark on Lee in a cool space called The Landing. The really cool thing is I'm sitting here with the owner of The Landing, Mr. R.W. Holleman. How are you today, R.W.?
I'm great, Tanisha. Thanks for having me. It's fun.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for letting us use The Landing here on the third floor. It is gorgeous up here.
Thank you.
And I know we shut it down, one day a month for us to come in and do our recordings, but it has been a huge blessing to us. So thank you for that. And thank you for providing this workspace. Well, you want to share a little bit about what people can do in this space?
Yeah, do you mind? I need to have a shout out to Steve Lawson. Because
Sure.
Steve is my partner in this venture, and Steve and I both needed office space about 3 years ago, and we thought that there wasn't really anything in Greenville that we could get in and just have our own office. And then we saw this landmark, and they were we wanted to convert this into something that people could have peace and strength and just have focus on their business and who they are. And it's been a tremendous blessing, to the community. So.
It really has. And every time we come in, there's always someone in here using the space. And everyone I've talked to, they love it here. So thank you for creating that workspace for people to come to.
We have about 12 businesses now, and then it's open to people, all businesses coming in. So I need to put in that plug to say this is a hot desk area, and anybody can come and see if they want to become a member. So. And
the internet works great.
Yes.
Okay, so right before we hit record and start, you were talking about Carol, the cow, that you're going to get in Arkansas tomorrow. Let's talk about that right out of the gate.
Well, I am headed either tonight, tomorrow, I don't know for sure, but I'm headed to Central Arkansas to pick up a milk cow for the school kids that we have on our farm, our sustainable farm in Greenville. So we're out of milk right now, and we have to go pick up this really special purebred shorthorn milk cow. And that kind of ties into my life, right?
Yes.
It's like I have to do whatever it takes to go get the right resources for these kids and my family and the community. And so we're bringing milk back to Greenville tonight, and so we'll have a full-blown milk cow tomorrow.
That is so cool. Now, is this a part of the school that you have?
Yeah, so we had felt a calling to really open the gates of our farm. Mm-hmm. So we started this sustainable farm, and we thought, okay, we want to do more and more and more. And it was kind of put on our heart that we really needed to be kind of more welcoming to the community as we went along. We were from Dallas originally, and we came here, and this welcoming meant that we needed to do something special. So we come from Catholic education and Christian-based, education, and so we wanted to start a school that would have the kids learn farm principles. Because everybody I meet that's in business or successful, they always say, I grew up on a farm. You even told me that you grew up on a farm.
I did.
And I look at this and I said, okay, what is special about this? Why are all these people that I admire? Why are all these people that are successful? And what is this thing that they grew up on a farm? So my wife and I did that. We just said, we're going to go try it. And about 20 years ago is when we moved here. And then about 3 years ago, we just opened up the school, and it's thriving. So we have families from Dallas, Fort Worth, all over, and people in Greenville and people in Cattle Mills and all over this Hunt County area that come out and have a classical collaborative education that teaches Latin and chemistry and science and math and everything. And then it also teaches farm-based chores and farm-based work ethic. So.
I love it. And I actually had the privilege to come see the farm.
Yes.
And it is such a cool place and cool experience. And the thing I loved about the kids, I got to come on a day that they were there, and just the pure happiness that I saw in their eyes, and they were so friendly and outgoing. And I saw a different type of student than what you see in a regular environment.
Interesting. So have you ever read the book, you know who C.S. Lewis is?
Yes.
Or, we read that one of his essays was Men Without Chests. Okay.
Oh, yes.
And so one of C.S. Lewis's essays says men without chest, and they just didn't have the breath and the life, and they were missing something. Okay. So that's what we feel like the farm life gives, or it gives these kids this breath, and it gives them that space, and it gives them that type of experience that allows them to dream, to learn, to grow, to stretch, and to have training of virtue. That's really it. And we think that was, we haven't experienced a lot of places like this. And so we said, we'll create it. But it's really this farm of virtue so that the kids can learn across the board. And that creates that light in their eyes, or creates that life and that ability to breathe that you see when you greet these kids and see
Yes.
them. So.
And I love, there was a teacher with a student, they were out reading their book, around a picnic table outside, and kids were jumping on the hay bales, and just, and I know I was there during their lunch period, and right before classes were starting back, but I looked at it and I thought every student needs an experience like this, because it did remind me of growing up on the farm, but also going to a small school where sometimes you did go outside and do your lesson under a tree, or just to get that touch of nature and that openness that you get.
Yeah, there's a local group. I don't know, the Schweitzers, Mike and Abby were with Mercy Me at one point,
okay.
and they were our neighbors. And Abby had come and really started this thing called Cedar House. And Cedar House was kind of that outdoor experience and outdoor learning, and really took that to heart. And so she put a curriculum together. And then from there, Cedar House exists in Greenville still. Samantha Spear runs that, and Chad, her husband, and they do a great job. But we kind of piggybacked off of that, right? Instead of just Cedar House, we now have full-blown accredited education.
Right.
That's in part of that, right?
That's a big deal.
Yeah.
And remind me who your accreditation is with.
So we go actually through a curriculum that is sponsored by the University of Dallas. So it's one of the top Catholic colleges in the world, and they've kind of said, we think this outdoor experience is really powerful. So they put accreditation behind it, and it's kind of, we're in year 2 of it, and we're trying to figure out where we're going to go next, but it's really had some positive impact.
When will you have your first student graduate?
So this year. So my daughter is actually, Mally is the one that will graduate. Mally was in Greenville Family Theater, and she played Dorothy in The Wizard of Oz. And all my girls have always done the Greenville Family Theater and loved it. But Mally will be the first one to graduate from St. Isidore with the degree and a diploma. So
how special.
It's pretty cool.
And then how many more kiddos of your own do you have that are coming through?
We have how much time we have? We have 4 more. So I have 5 kids total that are in the school. I have a son that's 15, and he's a sophomore, and then I have a son that's 13, 8th grade, and then you have another son that's 11, and another son that's 8. And so they all go to the school. And then I have another son. I have 8 kids total. That's a lot.
Wow, that's a lot of kids.
That's a lot of kids. And my one son lives in Dallas with his wife and my grandchild, Allie. So they live in Dallas, and he grew up in Greenville. And then my other daughter now lives on a dairy farm in Minnesota with a lumberjack named Joe Renda. So and they're expecting their first child as well. So I'm a grandpa. I have these 2 grandkids coming.
How exciting.
It's really exciting.
Those are great times and great memories. You are leaving a legacy with them just with this. So the other kiddos didn't really get to grow up on a farm then, the ones that are older, and they didn't have the same experience.
Well, actually they did. I mean,
did they?
they did. They didn't go have the school.
The school piece.
Yeah, the school was always something we just did right now. But the
Right.
other ones grew when my oldest son was 11. So he didn't grow up from scratch, right, on a farm. So he got in as fast as he could. And then my other daughters from, when they got there when they were 8 and 9, that kind of thing. So they all had that same experience,
Right.
when we lived. I've been traveling with business when I was younger, and we lived in Boston, and then we lived in Georgia. And when we lived in Georgia, we had 5 acres of land, and that changed our life, right?
Oh,
like
wow.
it was that 5 acres that said, okay, we really want to do this full time. So,
I was going to ask, where did that passion or that drive come in to want to have a farm? Did you grow up on a farm? Did your wife grow up on a farm? Or was it in Georgia on those 5 acres that interest was sparked?
it's a little bit, yeah, we really didn't grow up on farms.
Okay.
I grew up in Dallas. I went to Jesuit high school. I mean, I was a private school guy. My wife was, salutatorian of MacArthur High School back in the day, and, cheerleader and the whole 9 yards. And we never really had that, but we experienced the kind of the strength that the experience of having land, the experience of having, what would it make of us to have a farm? And like I said earlier, we saw all these people that had farms and had grown up on farms, and we saw in them kind of a strength of character that I really appreciated. And I saw a go get it attitude, and an attitude of strength, and a smile, and kind of how you and I connected, right? It was kind of like seeing what you've built with REMAX 3D and seeing kind of hearing your story. It kind of reminds me, and the fact that you tell me you've grown up on a farm, that means the world to me. And that's why we chose this for our kids. I think, Denisha, you have to be intentional.
Absolutely.
You have to be intentional. Like, okay, the funny story is on Facebook, I saw when I told you that you had this snow impact in like the last days, right?
Yes.
And all of a sudden the snow had been there for 2 other days, but you were going to go make the most of it, right?
Absolutely.
But you were intentional about making the most of that time with your kids.
Yes.
And I think we as parents, and we have our spouses, and we have our lives, and our families, and I think we really need to be intentional about how we embrace the moments, because you could have lost the snow angel ability there.
Yes.
You had amazing time.
Yes. And that was fun. I was going to get cold and wet, but I knew I was not going to have that opportunity again to do that with my daughter. And, I like the phrase, live on purpose. And intentional is an important word to me too. So I love both of those phrases, is to live on purpose. But that means being very intentional and living life to the fullest and on purpose, which means making that decision to get a little bit uncomfortable, and I couldn't stand looking out and seeing that snow and we weren't doing something with it.
I wasn't intentional. I did not want to go out there, and I did not. My kids all went out without me. So when I saw you doing that, I laughed.
Oh, did you?
Yeah,
did you think, man, I should have gone out there?
Yeah. I thought, So, but I think it's more about what you said about that word intentional or on purpose, right? Have a purpose. And I think that will be, if everybody did that, or everybody chose to kind of think through things and to have a purpose, I think it's going to make our world a better place. So.
It really would, if everyone would do that, because then you intentionally go and help other people, or you intentionally spend that quality time with your family. And otherwise you just kind of go through life and you kind of ebb and flow. And talking about the farm, it creates grit in you when you work on a farm, because you have animals depending on you. It doesn't matter if you feel good or not. You have to get up and go feed those animals, go take care of those animals. And even in the snow, you've got to make sure they have hay. And so there's so much that I think that mental strength that the farming brings on is where that difference comes into a person.
That's it. Okay. So we're aligned, because that's really the key. Do you know who Jim Rohn is?
Yes.
Yeah. So Jim Rohn has this story. He tells this phrase of don't just go seek to make $1 million, right?
Right.
It's because of what it'll make of you to have sought to make $1 million.
Yes.
And that's what I've always listened to and taken to heart, is that what is it? What are my goals? What am I trying to achieve? And then in that journey, what is it going to make of me to have achieved them? And so I'm really more about trying to find joy in the journey of all this, and trying to find the peace within the journey. And so, but making my goal a highly, an unattainable almost in man's world, and needing a higher power and needing a strength to go achieve that goal. So that's me.
So you probably have felt the same way I have then. I've achieved a goal, I'd set a goal, and I achieved it. And then I got there and I'm like, now what? And I learned, because I was always so focused on hitting and achieving that goal, I would not stop and enjoy the journey. And so now that I've kind of gone through that a few times, it's like, you know what? I need to enjoy the journey and enjoy that along with enjoying achieving that goal. But I like what you said. You're almost setting unachievable goals because that keeps you intentional about trying to reach that goal and putting it further out there. You don't hit it as quickly.
That's right.
So I like that. That's great. You have your hands in so many other things, RW. So let's talk about some of those other things that your hands are in.
Yes. Okay. Well, first of all, I'm going to give you all my titles. Okay.
Okay. Everybody get ready. Okay. Get ready for this.
So, and that's one of the things people say, where's your focus, right? But I am the chief revenue officer of a technology company called Azion that builds churches in India, that does some amazing pro-life events, that does really good things. And the owner is Chris Kambala, who's a good friend of mine. So we're taking Azion and bringing it to Greenville, Texas. So I set up office here. I have Azion team that comes here. We are really, and they provide software development and they provide the services. And I don't see another technology company that's really done that in Greenville. So that's something that I'm doing.
What does the technology company do?
So we provide software development, so solutions from the littlest thing as a website all the way down to a full-blown ERP system. So if you wanted automated systems throughout your entire organization, or you wanted your 3 groups to talk to each other, and you needed a software company that could come in and give you seamless and integrated approach, that's what we do. So we service companies like Home Depot and bigger companies that you'd know of, like Scottish Rite Hospital or Abbott Laboratories or others.
Oh, wow.
And we're providing solutions to them that really help to, kind of systems and technology talking to one another.
Okay.
That's really what it is, right? When you have this one system and it's this way, or another system and it's this way, you really want those to be seamless and talking to one another, so you don't have to go in and out of those systems all the time. Our software basically acts like water. So we come in and basically help you kind of go through the entire process and have a seamless integrated system. Okay. It's a little bit of technology talk there, but
no, that's good. I mean, when you say technology company, that doesn't, to the layperson like me, that doesn't mean anything. So now I better understand.
Well, like companies like Innovation First that need to develop something, right? You just had Jessica Pope. I just saw her. She's a friend of yours, and her husband, right, is a technologist for innovation, and that those companies like that need to use technology to get better. That's what we help with, okay? So we have the people in India, we have people in Costa Rica, we have people all over the world, and then we have home offices in Frisco, Texas. And then now we have our home office in Greenville, Texas. So it's fun. I've always been in technology. When I was just starting off, I was a teacher at Cistercian High School in Irving, Texas. And then going from teaching to just figuring out what I was going to be next. I was 22 years old, and I was coaching and soccer and tennis, and I was coaching all these things and teaching. And then I went to Dell Computer. So at Dell Computer in the early days, I was there. And so we were learning and growing. And then I went to Oracle Corporation out in Boston. And so I've always been in, after that teaching, I went into technology. So I've always been in technology solutions, technology companies, right? And then I started owning different companies. And that's how I got into the ownership part. And, and then after I sold I owned a technology staffing company at one point. And when I sold that, we had bought the farm out here in Greenville, Texas. And we really wanted to, have a great life with our kids after that. So that's so right now I'm an officer with Azion. I also have interests and investments in different things. I'm an advisor and a kind of investor to a really cool company in Greenville everybody would know, Britex Bubbles.
Yes.
Britex Bubbles with Tracy Fenton and Eleanor Hill.
Yes.
The mother-daughter. Yeah, they're awesome. And I love them. And I know what they're trying to do. They want to advance. They want to build this company into something really meaningful.
Yes.
So they asked me to come in and basically advise them, and that's a gift to me to be able to do that. So we are bringing solutions, and we're putting a different name on it. It's going to be called Britex Beyond, because it's beyond clean and beyond clean, going above and beyond, right? So Britex Beyond is kind of what the new name's going to be, rolling it out, and I'm part of that. And then we have Holloman Farms, right? Do you want me to talk about that a little bit?
Let's do it. By the way, thank you for the honey. It was amazing.
Thank you. There's more where that came from. So Holleman Farms is just this, we had this farm and we started to rotate our animals and have, we wanted to, grow great grass without chemicals. And we started from day one, we did no fertilizers. And from day one, we did no bad products. And we were all about non-GMO and really eating right and drinking the right water and being healthy.
Yes.
Not just being healthy in body, but being healthy in mind and in your spirit and having all of that kind of that whole health overview of your life, right?
Yes.
So we started Holleman Farms in 2004. It's a long time ago but we really started to make something of it and started to deliver and started to really make it a viable business in 2019. Wow. So just about a year and a half ago, we thought we would really do something special. So, and we did, and we started delivering to Dallas and Fort Worth and Rockwall and all over the place. It's, if you know of Rehoboth Ranch, that's local here.
Okay.
The Hutchins family,
yes.
they're kind of the godfather of this. They've done it a long time,
Yes.
and the Hollemans are just wannabes. We don't know, we don't really know what we're doing, but we're kind of committed to just providing great foods, great service. And so we get dairy from Jersey Girls Dairy in Winsboro, and we have vegetables from Lewis Farms over there, and we just have the community involvement to provide
Yes.
the best foods that we can that are the most nutritious.
That's awesome.
So that's a deal. And then I have another, a water company that I'm aligned with, and we have a disinfectant company that I'm aligned with, and so to mention, it's a lot, but it's really about wanting to really help this world and bring quality and virtue to everything that we do. So
I love that. And like I said, you have your hands on a little bit of everything.
Yeah.
When we were out at the farm, did I understand you correctly? Did you play soccer professionally?
I did, yeah.
Tell us about that.
But that's an interesting one. So I played soccer growing up before really soccer was what it is today. But I got the opportunity to play in what they call the Classic League in Dallas, and I was trained up in some of the best clubs that there were. There's a club called the Dallas Titans and clubs called the Wolves FC, and some of these clubs that were out there. And then I was chosen to play on the under 17 men's national team for soccer. So we got to travel around, go all over the USA and all that, and be able to really, play a lot of soccer and get a lot of experiences, So, and I played in college. I was on Dallas had a team called the Sidekicks.
Yes.
And I was on the farm team for the Sidekicks. So I know tattoo, but I never got to go up and play with tattoo at the time. But it's just a good experience, and that a farm background, but also an athletic background, and having that formation through sports has been very good. And it can drive you the wrong way, and it can be detrimental having too much of that,
right.
But soccer has served us well. And so much so that my oldest son played for FC Dallas, and my daughter played for Sting, which are some clubs in the Dallas area.
Yes.
And then we, as we got older and we got wiser, I think, we stopped driving and paying for our kids to be in all these sports and all these things, and just let them breathe and let them have a little different life.
Yes,
so,
a different
there you go.
life.
So I did play a little bit. Thanks for asking.
I just think that's really cool. It's
Yeah.
not often you meet a professional soccer player. So.
Well, yeah. I could juggle, something here for you to show you.
Yeah.
And balance
Too
an
bad we
apple
do it.
on my head for a long time, but that's about it. So
That's cool. Well, that's a cool part of your story.
Thank you.
Well, I want us to talk real quick about what you love about Greenville. We're on Heart of Greenville, and so we like to hear what people love about this community.
that's it. I mean, I don't really stop and ask myself that. Thank you for asking that question, because I don't really stop or get a chance to answer that very much. But my wife and I, Christina and I, we love every time we're driving down our road, or we're in the fact that we're in Lee Street, and we're going down Wesley. We just stop and we'll look at each other and we'll say, we love Greenville, right? And we love it because it's just got a pace and a spirit. And the more I can just go into Ashton Rose, or I can go into the Texan, or I can go Summer, the city manager, was walking up the stairs, and
Yes.
I knew her, and I'm like,
Yes.
"Hey, Summer, how are you?" And I just, there's no other place like that. And I am a person that knows Dallas inside and out.
Right.
I've eaten at all the restaurants. I've been to all the clubs. I know everything about Dallas. And we would choose Greenville every single time. We love this place. We love the spirit of people give it a bad rap with having so many churches and the divisional component that there's a lot of churches here. Well, that's a good thing, because there's God. And I really believe that Greenville kind of has that spirit about it, and it's blessed, and it has really a great, great, great potential for the future, but it has a great history, and it's the best place to be. I love it. So
Amen.
join me. Yeah.
Yes. Everybody move here.
That's right.
Before we hit start, you picked a number for me. I like to ask one final question.
Okay.
And we finally settled on the number 3.
Yeah.
And here's your question. What is your biggest fear?
Wow. Okay. So I wanted to pick a different number, but that's okay.
What was your other number?
No, I'm kidding.
Did you want your 14 number?
No, I don't want it. I'm going to answer this.
Okay,
straight on.
you're gonna take that one.
Straight on. So I think my biggest fear, honestly, if I'm going to be very honest, is failure. Okay. And just because I know how hard it is, right? And being an entrepreneur, I know how hard it is to do things, right?
Yes.
And it's hard to get up early when you have to rise early. It's hard when you have to eat the right things. It's hard when you have to. So to me, that's hard, right? And it's when I choose to launch out and I'm going to and I'm going to take on a startup, or I'm going to go ahead and put myself out there and help this little company and buy this thing, or I'm going to do that. My fear is that I would fall on my face and fail miserably, right? That's my biggest fear, that I'm going to just get laughed at, I guess, or something. I have that in me that really is scared sometimes.
So you don't let that hold you back. You have that fear of failure, but something is keeping you from letting that hold you back and not take on that experience, because you're choosing to go ahead and do it. You're choosing to take that risk and go forward. So something in you is helping you overcome that fear.
Yes, and
What is it?
It's kind of a grit. I mean, it is that grit that comes from a past, and it comes from sport, and it comes from farm life, and it comes from practice of having grit.
Right.
But it's really about, I look at, Theodore Roosevelt has a quote called "The Man in the Arena," right?
Yes.
And it's about that.
I love that.
That's my favorite quote. Okay.
Yeah.
And that says it right there. It is not the critic who counts, right?
Exactly.
And the critic who's sitting there counting on you, and it is the person who is marred by sweat and dirt and blood, and and whose soul I can't remember it, but they will never be like those cold and timid souls that know neither victory nor defeat. Right.
Right.
And that's what drives me, knowing that I want to be in the battle. I want to be in the heat of it,
You want to be in that arena.
I do want to be in the arena, and I do have to get up and say yes again. And I call it one heroic moment.
I like that.
One heroic moment. My wife would tease me because there's a singer, can we say a cheesy singer, that talks about her husband that has one heroic moment where he turns off the TV and he reads to the kids, or he turns off, they go on a date night, or they do. And it's in that one heroic moment that I feel like that is what I do. And I have a faith, right? So that's really, that one heroic moment is supported by a faith, because I can't do it alone. I can't do anything without my faith in my God and what He's here for me. So that's, if you think about how do I conquer my fears and my failure in the worst, that is my biggest fear. It's through my faith, and it's through my go-to-itness, that I have. So
I love that.
There you go.
Thank you so much. RW, it's been such a pleasure to have you on the show. Thank you so much for sitting down with me and sharing your heart and sharing your story. And I know there's so many more stories, but I feel like we got to hit it on the top and got a good overview of who RW Holleman is. And one of the things that I want our listeners and audience to take away, you have a huge heart. You go and get involved in these startups, but you're giving something to them that someone else isn't, and you're believing in them. And so you are making making a difference in your life. And so thank you for making a difference in so many other people's lives and for being interested in helping people to bring them above and rise them as you have in your life. So, and thank you for sharing that.
Wow. Thanks, Denisha. And thanks for having me. That this exists makes me love Greenville even more. So thanks for putting that on my heart.
Oh, thank you so much.
Thanks for having me.
My pleasure.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Thank you for watching Heart of Greenville. This video series, which is designed to celebrate Greenville, Texas, is spearheaded by REMAX 3D Real Estate.